House rule number 3, it's time to get started. You have an idea in your head. It's time to actually sit down and write that idea out and then create an action plan. When I was a janitor and I got the trash on my skin, I realized that I had to change my life. I went home and I sat down and wrote out my action plan. Number 1, I said I want to be a speaker. Number 2, I said I got to start telling people that I know what I want to do. Number 3, I had to tell people what I actually wanted to talk about. Number 4, I had to create business cards and a landing page. And number 5, which is so critical when you start out in any business, I had to prepare myself to hear the word no. That's a tough one. But if you can just push through and persevere, the no's will eventually become a yes. When you're doing these steps, give yourself time limits. If you don't set time limits, you're never going to reach for success and be driven like you should be. Motion is the process of putting your thoughts into action. Emotion is driven by motion. Tony Robbins. If an idea is in your head and it stays there, it's just an idea. In order to reach greatness or achieve success, you have to take actionable steps towards reaching that goal. Just like you're doing right now by watching this course and bettering yourself as a person and as a brand overall. Creating your talk. You have to learn to take the string and put it through balloons to have your presentation connect to your audience. What is the client looking for? What are your go-to speeches? For me, I have leadership, I have transition, I have how to build a business. It's key that you develop these talks and these verticals so you are always prepared to help your client reach or solve their issues. Here are a couple go-to presentations that you can construct for yourself. Number 1, to motivate. Find experiences in your life where you overcame great adversity, where you faced insurmountable odds and you came out on top. This is a really good place to start to help motivate people to be great. A second presentation is to teach. Find examples in your life where you use great leadership skills to help you and others be successful. Number 3 is a combination of both. Have a story that you can have where you have great leadership skills, you overcame insurmountable odds and adversity, combine them into a presentation. So the 3 that I can give you right here, right now, that you can utilize to create a presentation for clients would be number 1, a presentation geared to motivate. Number 2, a presentation geared to teach. And number 3, a presentation that combines both. In order to be a good speaker that is organized and well prepared, you should create an outline. Number 1, you should have an intro. It tells the audience who you are, where you're from, and in that intro, tell them what you're going to talk about during your presentation overall. The next part after intro will be your personal story. This is your journey. This is building credibility with your audience. It's telling them who you are, where you're from, what you've been through. When I talk to people all the time, my journey is about the NFL to business to failing in business to now being a public speaker. Your personal story is going to connect you with the audience at the highest level. This is exactly why I get hired a lot, because I take my personal story and I end up embedding it into the presentation geared towards the topic I'm hired to talk about. After you tell your personal story, you have to challenge the audience. Create a burning problem or an issue, and you will do this by working with the client ahead of time, knowing what the issue already is. This way, you can really start to make the people in the room think about, wow, this is what's going on around here. Wow, is this what we're going through, or what the environment's like, or what the situation is like? You have to really challenge that room to get them thinking about how they can solve the problem. After you challenge the audience, then you relieve that tension with strategies for success. The strategies for success should be a combination of stories from your life along with teaching tips that they can utilize in their everyday lives. And then after you relieve the stress, you leave the audience with a final call to action. This is either a question or a challenge to them to do something to elevate them to greatness, to help them become better people overall in business and in their personal lives. To me, there are 4 main pillars to being a successful speaker. Number 1 is dress and appearance. Number 2 is eye contact. Number 3 is stage presence. And number 4 is masterful execution. We're going to delve deeper into each one of those, but again, the 4 pillars are dress and appearance, eye contact, stage presence, and masterful execution. Dress and appearance. To me, this is the biggest thing of being a public speaker. You see how I'm dressed right now. You only get one chance to make a first impression. When you walk into a room as a speaker, they're going to look at you before they hear you talk. So if you're not dressed to impress with a nice suit or nice khakis and a jacket or a nice outfit, it's going to make people turn off to hear you speak. For example, when I spoke for the Home Depot company, I remember Mr. Tim Wilkerson, Senior VP of their Met division, said, "Marques, you are dressed to impress. I know you're going to do a great job of speaking today." That told me from right then and there that when you're a speaker, your dress and appearance should be the number 1 thing you do well. The second pillar of being a great speaker is eye contact. Eye contact equals respect. The projection screen is for your clients to view your story. It's not for you to look at. You should be engaging your audience at all times with eye contact to help deliver your story with more purpose and more powerfully, and to help you connect with people better overall. The third pillar of being a great speaker is stage presence. You have to control and be the master of your environment. You have to be on that stage knowing you belong there with purpose and conviction. When I speak, I always stand to the right of the projection screen. People read from left to right. So I don't want to be in their way, so I always stand to the right of the projection screen, or if it's a big stage, up front and center. That way I'm not impeding anyone from visualizing and seeing my presentation on the projector. Another thing that's key is using your hands to help show emotion. You have to have gestures. You have to be lively. You just can't be sitting there with your hands behind your back, looking bored or looking like you don't want to really be engaged. You should keep your hands off your face, because when you touch your face, it makes you look nervous. So again, these are all things that are going to help you have masterful stage presence. Staying to the right of the projector screen, using your hand gestures to help deliver more powerful and more impactful points, keeping your hands off your face. If you're going to walk a little bit on stage, that's fine, but keep it in a short area. Don't walk from too far across the stage, because then you're losing yourself being that centerpiece for people to actually look at you, engage you, and be captivated by you. Pillar number 4 of being a great speaker is masterful execution, delivering with excellence. This is critical to being a lively speaker who shows masterful execution. Your PowerPoints, your handout materials, your energy on stage, your speech pace, your inflection, your hand gestures. These are all tangible things to help you masterfully execute and deliver your presentation with pure excellence. If you want a good example, go to YouTube and watch Tony Robbins. He is the master of transformation, but what he does even better is he delivers a message with excellence every single time. This is why his voice cords are so thin because he's always engaging his audience, yelling, screaming, lively, the right pace. He talks normal, but he'll get more excitable. So if you really want a good example of masterful execution, go to YouTube and look up any Tony Robbins video that's on his archive. Here are some ways that you can practice speaking to help you become a better speaker. You've got Facebook Live, you've got Snapchat, you've got Instagram Live, you've got your phone, you've got a mirror, you've got people that you know in your everyday life. And when you're speaking and putting out content to be evaluated, it's critical that you accept feedback and constructive criticism. I've got a really funny story to tell you about my first speech for a Fortune 500 company. The client was NetApp. One of my good friends, Mr. Dave Nisvisky, I was training his boys in football. I ended up telling him I want to become a public speaker after I got the trash on my skin as a janitor. He said, Marques, I have an opportunity for you to come and speak for NetApp, my company. I said, great, this is fantastic. He said, it's not paid, we'll cover your travel and your lodging and your food, but it's an opportunity for you to put yourself on the map and have a Fortune 500 client. So I jumped at the opportunity. Went out there to Chicago, did my speech. I thought I did a great job. I got nothing but great praises. About a week later, after the speech, I had lunch with David, and he told me, Marques, how do you think that you did? I said, Dave, man, I was great. I crushed it and got nothing but great reviews, and everybody loved me. He said, Marques, they were being nice. I said, okay, what do you mean? He said, Marques, you did a great job of being energetic, with being passionate, with using your hand gestures, but you forgot the one key thing. I said, what's that, David? You didn't talk about the part of your life that connected with the audience. I said, what do you mean? He said, Marques, you talked a lot about like your business failure, going through financial ruin. That's great, but you're talking to NetApp and doctors. We're a health technology company. We're a medical company. We wanted to hear more about concussions, CTE, the NFL lifestyle, all that stuff. And I said, wow, David, you're right. So that was an opportunity for me to get feedback from someone who I trusted in my circle. And after giving me that feedback and that constructive criticism, I took it to heart. I didn't take it personal, and I used it to help me become a better speaker. And he hired me back 6 months later and did a great job for him, and I've never looked back since then. But again, be willing to take criticism to help you reach the goal of being successful. How to own the stage and perform. I'm going to tell you one of my big tips and secrets that I do all the time when I public speak to help me deliver an excellent presentation. Let's say you have a room of 1,000 people, right? You want to find one person, just one person in the audience that's watching you, that's engaged, that's following your every move or following your hand gestures or the presentation. Somebody that's totally engaged with you and you know it. And when you find that one person, talk to them like you're talking to them one-on-one and forget everybody else in the room. I'm telling you, it works. When you see a lot of people, sometimes people get very nervous, like, oh, it's a big room, oh, it's so many people. Yeah, I get that. But if you focus on one person that's engaged with you as you're talking, everybody else fades away. And it becomes so much easier to deliver a masterful presentation if you just focus on one person. There are two critical things that you must have to become a great keynote speaker. Number one is know your client, and number two, know the issue they want solved. For example, when I spoke for NetApp, the first time, I did a horrible job of knowing what they wanted me to talk about. Once I figured that out and I fixed it, I came back a second time and did a great job. So again, being ready as a speaker is a combination of these two things, knowing your client and knowing what issue they want solved. We're now at the end of module number 3. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to create an outline for a speech geared around either leadership, transition, or bouncing back from hitting rock bottom. Your outline should include an introduction, your personal journey, a burning issue or challenge to the audience, relief of that issue, and a final call to action. I want you to then practice one of those segments daily for 5 to 10 minutes to build confidence. In the next module, Becoming a Star Speaker, we talk about things like confidence, practice to help you reach greatness. So now we're coming to the end of module 3. I want you to create your outline, practice daily so you can achieve greatness for yourself.